Oh, man. What a day. What a day. What a
We're
day.
such idiots.
Hey, listen, like we got a new education
I
today.
mean, look, we like to learn things, but it's funny how we tell our clients to delegate stuff, and then some of the things we tell them to delegate, we're like, "But we're gonna learn ourselves." But, I mean, that's what's created us in our business. The cool thing about what we do is we don't go, like, crazy deep. We get a very superficial education on something, we apply it, and then we understand it, and we could delegate it, but we don't spend years and years and years
Yeah.
doing stuff, so but
Ugh,
my gosh, what a technology interesting education that was, you know? And look, I mean, look, a lot of people, they get to the point of where they start to feel burned out, and what I've really realized is that you're not really burned out, you're just bored, and that's
mm.
most people are really confusing those 2 things. It's like, am I burned out or am I bored? And that I think is if you can start to think of, am I burned out or am I bored? Which one am I really at this moment? Because boredom means that your business and the things that it provides for you isn't enough anymore. It's stopped you from growing any further. And what most people think is when I'm burned out, like I need to take a rest and I need to take a vacation. And it's usually you just need like a reinvention in whatever it is that you're doing or how you're doing it. Because when all of these challenges just disappear, then stagnation begins to set in and you start to feel burned out. And that's what I've noticed with a lot of new founders, the ones we call accidental CEOs, is stagnation leads to them feeling burnt out, but they're bored. But they also have to understand that the mundane is part of doing business. These repeatable processes are part of the things you have to do to grow your business. And if you grow it to a point where you make enough money, you can hire people to do those things. But that's what it takes. So maybe you're not bored, maybe you're not burned out, but you need to figure it out.
That's an interesting point because, a lot of business owners too, when they start out, they're always hustling. And that hustle leads to burnout. That hustle leads to a lot of things. And it was interesting. I came across this thing that hustling isn't the goal. It's a warning sign. Hustle is disorganization in disguise. It's not productive. It's usually panic. You try to it's almost like my busy badge, right? You're grinding and the hustling is like this badge of honor, but it's just a signal that your business can't breathe. You can't do what you need to do. And if you're constantly rushing around, you're not scaling anything. It's just spinning. It's just constant spinning over and over, and that leads to burnout, right? The best CEOs focus on building to capacity, not creating chaos. And I think a lot of us, especially when you first start out, you create a lot of chaos because there's a lot that you don't know. And instead of handling one thing at a time, we try to handle too many things at one time. And that's what really leads to this complete disorganization. And we just are constantly hustling, and people describe themselves, like they're running a marathon constantly. It's another marathon, another marathon. You got to take a look and say, oh my god, my business can't breathe. It's all over the place, it's chaotic. And so slow down, don't hustle, because if you're hustling, something's not right.
Well, when people hustle, like, they tend to get in the way, and it's like, you're the bottleneck, but not the reason you think, right? It's being busy isn't the problem. It's okay to be busy and do those things, but owning everything, that's the problem. When people are constantly like, "It has to be mine." You could be busy and you could be doing all these different things, but if you have to literally own every single thing, which is what most new founders do, that's when you start to fail. It's because you can't delegate. Like you just have no ability for you to send things off to other people because all these decisions are stuck in your head. Nobody knows how to do it because you haven't told them how to do that. And why? It's because CEOs without any trust, whether it's in their employees or in themselves, they've been build like a dependency. And that doesn't allow for you to scale. And it's not really you're not overworked, you're under supported in these areas and you're still trying to prove something. I don't know who you're trying to prove it to, but you're trying to prove something to somebody and you have to like get out of the way and stop being that bottleneck because you could keep being busy and that's totally fine. But if you don't have any kind of support and help, you can't grow beyond what's stuck inside of your head.
It's another thing that it reminds me of is how we take on so many tasks that we really shouldn't be taking on. And your inbox isn't your to-do list, and a lot of people make that mistake and they do that. And if you're running your day-to-day from your inbox, you're just letting other people set your priorities for the day, and that causes a lot of confusion, and that takes away a lot of the energy from the things that you need to be focused on. Because if you're going through your inbox and you're like, this whole thing is everybody else's priorities, then where are my priorities? CEOs don't react to everything. They can't. You can't react to every time that phone pings. You can't react to that. You have to protect your focus. You have to stay intentional on where you're driving your attention. Because if you respond to every ping, you're just going to create more chaos for yourself. You're not going to be focused where you need to be, and that's going to cause constant distraction. And attention management is leadership. Okay. I want to be clear. Like, that's why we talk about it so much. We talk about it in our course. We talk about it a lot in our workshops. Is that people oftentimes what's going wrong for some people is they don't know where to focus their attention. And distraction just becomes this very expensive thing. And you start to lose focus, you won't get things done, and then you'll lose revenue. So just take one thing at a time. Recognize that you're not falling behind because your inbox is piling up. You're just deciding on what you're going to manage and what you're going to give attention to. And that's what's the most important thing is just stay focused.
Well, the thing is they're really not even deciding, right? And that's the thing is the wrong decision is always going to be your most expensive one. And most founders, especially when they're new or they're accidental CEOs, they think in terms of cost. They don't think in terms of what's the consequence to this thing. And if they're just going to stay stuck in like what's this going to cost me, and like, "Oh, this thing's gonna cost me," like our coaching, $36,000 a year, you know? And so it costs you $36,000 a year, but what's the actual price tag if you don't do these things? If you're gonna hire your employee and he's $150,000 a year salary and you don't, "Oh, it's gonna cost me so much," but what does it actually cost you not to hire that employee? It may cost you $1,000,000. It may cost you your marriage. It may cost you being able to raise your children and be with them. And it's like coaching or employees or all these things, they're not expensive. It's leverage that allows you to compound and build on top of these things. But it really comes from just being able to make that decision and start converting it from like, is it a cost versus what are my consequences? And, everybody says it's an investment and it's an investment. Well, it is. It's like, what are you buying with this money? Whether it's coaching or it's employees or you're spending money on ads or you're getting a new building or you're upgrading your systems, like that stuff, those decisions, you have to have clarity on them. You have to have certainty on them. And that's really, I mean, in our workshop, that's what we bring to people. We give you the ability to sit down with us and another group of entrepreneurs and really start to gain what we call certainty and why you're making decisions, not just like clarity and how to make it, but certainty. I know why I'm making this decision today, and it's to move me, my business, and my family forward to the future I've always desired.
You're bringing up a really good point around decision making and the certainty around it. And a lot of business owners, when they first start out, they lack this confidence, and they're looking for this confidence. And confidence it's not a vibe; it's a system, right? I mean, that's the whole point of what you're building is a system. If you don't feel confident, you're not going to act that way, and then you're not going to act like the CEO. You need a structure to build this out. To build out your confidence, you actually need structure, right? It comes from seeing evidence. Okay. It's is my offer clear? Did it sell? Was I able to book calls? Did I close deals? Things like that breed the confidence within the system because you've built the system. And when you start to see that evidence, you can take things to the next level. Systems breed certainty, but certainty breeds confidence, and that's what we give you is the certainty. We talk about it that we give you this agency and the power to make these choices and these decisions and the freedom to do so. And when you add certainty to that, you now create freedom for yourself. Right? So you once you've built the system, that's where the confidence is going to really reside. It's not a mindset. It's the result of you aligning to everything that you need to do. It's the and it's going over and over, repeating like I'm repeating right now. It's that repetition of that system, and then the proof comes, and that confidence only gets stronger.
Yeah, man. I mean, being more confident is actually wrecking many people's growth because that confidence that you have, it's just a temporary thing. And what you really need is the certainty. You need to have certainty, not just confidence in it, because the confidence under the pressure, it kind of fades away. And you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure. Can I really do this thing? It's like, well, I don't know. Certainty comes from when you align decisions, right? It's not like a pep talk or a motivation or I know I can do this thing. It's like my decision is aligned to where I'm trying to go and what I'm trying to do. It's really the difference between like saying, I think I can do this, where I know I must do this. I don't care if you think you can do it, but you know you must do it. Though that's really a differentiator in how you can start building out growth and not worrying about am I confident? Because we all suck in the beginning. Like you're not confident. You just have to be certain like this is what I need to do to get where I'm going.
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck not because of their skill, especially when they're starting out as a business owner. They get this identity friction, okay? And a lot of times that growth that they're looking for requires you to really take a deep dive into the identity that you're avoiding. If you call yourself just a freelancer or just getting started, your behavior is going to follow that label. Okay. Your words are so important. They reveal your limitations. We talk about limiting beliefs all the time. And a lot of times, when you're avoiding the growth and the identity of who you really want to become, it's because you're talking to yourself in a way that limits you. And you need to change that story because the strategy has to change. So the story has to change. So do the words that you speak have to change. Because if you continue to create limitations, you create this friction, you never develop into this person that you want to be. And we try and we see this with a lot of people who are accidental CEOs. They get caught up, oh, I just started this thing and they didn't realize, oh my God, I had a business, or I'm just doing this thing for now, or this is just a side hustle. And all of those things, when they become a reality that there is a business, you gotta recognize that you're already doing the work of a CEO. So just grow into that. Start calling yourself one. If you start embracing that you're the CEO, it's part of our believe, behave, become structure that we talk about all the time. Is if you believe that you're the CEO of your business, then you gotta go and behave like that guy so you can become that guy. That's the bottom line. But if you create all this friction around your identity and you don't change the narrative on how you talk to yourself, you're never gonna get there. Don't let those limiting beliefs stop you from becoming the CEO that you're really meant to be.
Yeah, man. Identity is a big one, right? It's it's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard because the business that you want to have one day, the life that you want to have one day, it can't be built on who you are right now. It just can't. And it's not that you're unqualified to do these things. You've just outgrown the current version of who you are versus who you need to be to get where you want to go. And it's every next level requires this kind of like identity evolution. You have to grow, and you have to grow with your systems, you have to grow with your structures, you have to grow with even the perception of yourself and what you think you're possible of doing each and every day, what you're capable of accomplishing. That it has to shift together, all those things that you're doing and who you believe you are and what you're after. That has to be simultaneous growth because you're not really just building a better business, you're becoming the kind of person that can build and lead
Boom.
that business. And that's why you have to embrace like, yeah, what got you here is incredible, but it's not going to get you over there. So it's time to move on, and you're not stuck. You just need to become another version of who you're going to be to become what you want to have.
It's true. Most service-based business owners, they only build what they can handle right now, not what they actually want. And we have to recognize you're building for now and you're leading for later. And if you don't start to build for now and take on more things, build the systems that you need to build, schedule so that you can make sure your schedule fits something that you can scale. Because if you don't build the system and you don't build the schedule to scale, your income will never scale either. You gotta be people often say they're waiting for the right time. Okay. And you need to be ready to do this. You don't need to be ready. You just need to build like you're going somewhere. And that's one of the things a lot of people do when they make the mistake of building for right now and they're not thinking about later, they wind up going nowhere. You have to know where you're going. Okay. And that's where it's really important to recognize as you go through these different evolutions of growth and leadership and going through the confidence battle and the identity conflicts and all of that, you have to future proof your business. Okay. It doesn't mean you have to take on more work. It just means you need a better structure in place so that you could do everything you need to do. So build for now, but remember you're taking care of leading later.
You got to build something, man. And I mean, look, we've built so many things. I've built so many companies. You and I have, Tom, have built so many structures and so many programs. And like the simple CEO, the reason we built that is success. It doesn't happen from motivation and inspiration. It happens from a structure, right? All business is basically a structure. It's an org chart, it's a system, it's all of these different things. And the simple CEO is a system. And it was really built to help these service based new founders scale both their business and their life. Because real growth, it's boring. At the end of the day, it's boring. It's a system, okay? It's predictable. But the cool thing is it gives you freedom, right? Yes, you have to do these things to get where you want to go, but it gives you this amazing freedom. Because if you're building a business and it just depends on like your motivation and your energy and rah rah and here we go, it's not really even a business at all. It's just a performance. And if you're performing each and every day, that's not going to sustain, that's not going to last, it's not going to scale, and other people can't come into that because they're not you. So you have to really be very, very careful of how much is inspiration and how much is systems. I don't mind inspiration. I don't mind motivation, but those are like the spark plug, and what you need is the system. You need the car, and then you need the fuel. The motivation, the inspiration, that's just to light the fuel on fire to run that vehicle. So my goodness, you got to figure out, do you have a business or you just like each and every day, rah, rah, I'm going out there and attacking it because that'll fade away really, really quickly.
Yeah, we're talking so much about building stuff and building your systems, building everything within your business, building your identity, building who you are, and making sure that you know the direction you're headed. But if you're not telling anyone about what you do and no one knows what you do, you're gonna have major problems. If your network can't refer you, your business can't go anywhere. You can't go beyond all the work that you're doing with your hands and your labor and your time. You have to be able to tell people what you do. The more clear you are, it's not just for you, the clarity, it's for your network and for people you're talking to. Your next client is one clear sentence away. And it's so important that you don't change it up and create all these different ways of explaining what you do. Have a very clear and concise way because if no one can say what you do, they can't sell you to anybody else. And that's what you need. You need to be able to give a pitch. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be repeatable so that someone else can walk away and say what you do. Because why build all these systems and do all of this work if no one is going to know what you do and utilize your services and want to work with you? If they can't, if someone else can't repeat what you do, if they then they can't sell you, and then your business that you've built when with all these systems is going to be entirely wasted. And you're too good to be wasted. Just remember that.
Well, I'll tell you what we do. I'm talking to you, dude. What we do is a workshop this Wednesday. You should come join it. If you want to gain some certainty in why you are doing everything, we're going to help you understand that. If you want to gain the agency, if you don't know what that is, it's giving you this capacity, this power, this freedom to start making decisions and take the actions. This is what we do. It's completely free. It's 90 minutes you'll spend with Tom and I, and a group of entrepreneurs talking about what's going right in your business, what's going wrong, and what you need help with. We are going to show you exactly how to get to the next step because that's all you need. You don't need to get all the way down the road. You need the next step, and we will help you to get there. So go to atomic.coach. Yes, that's atomic.coach, and you can register for free. But do it quick because we have very, very limited seats. We usually try to keep it to 6 to 8 people. So book it in there, and we'll get you some certainty. See you.